Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. It's the first Premier League preview of the season. Manchester United against Wolves. Smile on my face. The summer's still here, but in a footballing sense, it's gone really quick and the Premier League is back, baby, and we're ready to go. I'm not just going to preview this game. You can't actually see my predicted 11 because we've got a new graphic to cover it up until I need to show it you, which is fantastic. We'll get onto that in a minute, but I want to go on a few, maybe 2 or 3 things for the season ahead as well and what we need to improve on. One of those, a little bit of a spoiler, would be goals. We didn't score enough goals last year. We definitely need to score more goals this year. I don't think we can be so reliant on clean sheets and a tight defence when we want to be more transformative with Onana. The whole point of that is to play more on the front foot. Also, before we get into the Wolves predicted 11, etc., let me just say that our first 3 games of the season, there's some vulnerability there. We'll talk about Wolves' vulnerability in a moment. Spurs without Kane, Forest at home. We've got to get 9 points. That doesn't put us in a title race, of course it doesn't, but you look at what Arsenal did last year. They took 43 points from their first 48. So really important that we start well, especially when you think about last year where we lost our first 2. So we're going to get all into that in a moment, but look what else is back. It's our TUS predictor game. Some of you won some big money last year on this. So what's it all about? It's a chance to win real cash by predicting match day outcomes. It's really straightforward, fast, and you can modify your selections right up to kick off. For this week only, we've got a special offer, £2.50 entry with a minimum prize pool of £1,000. But remember, this could increase depending on how many of you join. Somebody won 1,400 quid last year. In fact, 2 of you won it on the same one. And you predict things like, you know, how many assists somebody will get, how many corners, things like that. And it's all to do with Man United's game against Wolves. As always, there is also a free version of the game that you can try out where you can win a share of £100. So you can play it for free as well if you want to try it. So if you're up for some prediction fun, add to the glamour of Monday night's game, dive into the United Stand predictor. I'll be playing and so will the rest of the United Stand team, so you can also take us on as well and see if you can beat us. And if you believe we want what it takes, then as always, scan the QR code with your camera phone. Just go to camera and scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Remember, you've got to be over 18 to play, and as always, gamble responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. With that said, get involved in the predictor, but let's dive into the show because this is the game we've all been looking forward to. And let me just show you what my team is predicted for the game. There it is, brand new graphic. Smash a like on the video, absolutely loving that. So yes, this is the team. But I want to talk about Wolves very quickly before. Now, did you know that Lopetegui, however you pronounce it, has left Wolves? Now, this is massive. He only left last week. You go through all of pre-season and you lose your manager. Wolves are a club in crisis. Now, I didn't have them in my bottom 3 because I still think they'll stay up. But that is a terrible start to the season for them. All that work, all that planning, and your manager walks out a week before the start of the season. Crisis club. But did you know that when Lopetegui took over last season, if you took the season from that point, Wolves would have finished 11th? They actually did climb the table, long clear of relegation. They were only second to Manchester United for clean sheets, but that's at home. Their away record is absolutely shit. I think they finished 3rd from bottom for their away record, in fact. Their away record went like this, actually. 2 wins, 5 draws, 12 losses, only 12 goals scored, 38 conceded. Now, you compare that to Manchester United. As we know, we hardly conceded any goals at home. We were brilliant at home in relation to that. We won 15 games, we drew 3 and we lost 1, which is, I presume, was Brighton. I thought we'd lost 2, but no. Yeah, I still think we'd lost 2. I don't know whether I've got that. I'm sure. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the chat. Get in the comments below. Did we lose 1 or 2? Definitely lost to Brighton at home, but I always thought we lost another home game. Anyway, we've got it's a fantastic home record against a crap away record for Wolves, and Wolves are weaker this season. Neves is gone, Moutinho is gone, Raul Jimenez is gone. Costa's not there anymore. They've lost one of their centre backs, haven't they? So look, they are not. I mean, they've still got some good players, people like Neto and Nunez, but they're not the team they were. And also, they're moving away from this last few years where it was very Portuguese, really, wasn't it? Gary O'Neill, I think, is their manager, or he's going to be their manager, I'm not sure. But look, this is a very comfortable start for Manchester United, and therefore the only danger is that you slip, that it could be a banana skin and you slip. We really should be winning this game, and I'd like to see us win it 2-3-0. We really should be having a good start to the season. Forest at home, the game after Spurs away. First 3 games are really good on paper, and then you got Arsenal, which will be difficult. But I fancy us to win this game on Monday night. That's the team I've gone with. Obviously, we've got Onana in this team now, very transformative. You'll see I've gone with Dalot at right back. I think the reason I've gone with that is that neither fullback has looked really good in pre-season. He might go with Wan-Bissaka, but we're playing Wolves, who will be defensive. And I think Dalot is the better player going forward. And it feels like Ten Hag's going to go with him. I get that. I think Luke Shaw down the left-hand side, we know he likes to get forward, especially at Old Trafford. You need Dalot doing that down the right-hand side. Varane and Martinez, we should see a different Varane and Martinez now as well, even higher line with Onana there. I want to see those fullbacks going forward. A lot of people talk about Onana and the sweeper keeper and the ability to play out from the back. I don't hear enough people talking about how it should give even more license for the fullbacks to go forward, because we saw it a lot last season. Sometimes the fullbacks didn't push and overlap because they were almost covering for the centre-backs at times, especially if you've got a Lindelof or Maguire playing and De Gea who's a bit of a deeper keeper. That ball over the top, you do need the pace of the fullbacks. With Onana there, I hope they're going to push forward a lot further. Casemiro into the midfield, obviously. Mason Mount has to start. He's got the number 7 shirt. Ten Hag's first signing of the summer. There's absolutely no way he's not going to start, and he has to start in a game like this because we're playing Wolves. Even if we had an Amrabat or a more defensive midfielder, you wouldn't play them in a game like this. This is perfect for Mason Mount. I'm really hoping he can get a goal or assist, because no matter what happened in pre-season, if he can do something, I mean, this is the game that counts. Pre-season doesn't mean anything for these new signings. It's today. Some fans will have completely ignored pre-season. They won't even look at their team. They'll just be like, I'm only going to watch it when we play Wolves. A lot of fans do that. So this is the game where Mason Mount starts to get judged, and I think it's a great opportunity for him to hit the ground running. Bruno's got to be central. Captain Bruno, yeah, put him in there. And then I've gone with Garnacho off the left-hand side, with Rashford and Antony completing the front three. Sancho's had a reasonable pre-season, but Garnacho is a massive part of our future. Breakthrough player last season, and this season's got to be about... I've said this about Garnacho. People compare Garnacho to Sancho and Antony, etc., but Garnacho's 18. Might be 19 now, but he's certainly, teenager. You can't compare him to the lads in their 20s. He's still growing. He's still got a ceiling to hit, and we don't know what it's going to be. So I think that with Garnacho, however good he is now in August, if we play him a lot, he could be on a different level by November. Like, that's how quick his growth could be. I think you've got to play a player like this, especially against Wolves, who will sit deep, and Garnacho, things tend to happen with him. Also, with the protection of Old Trafford, who are going to be right behind him. I just think Garnacho's got to be unleashed on them. And obviously I would like to see Marcus Rashford playing off the left, but we know that can't happen with no Højlund fit, and Martial's certainly nowhere near ready. So Rashford's got to play down the middle, so therefore it opens up that spot for Garnacho to start, and I think that's definitely what needs to happen. Antony, massive season for him. If we're talking about the game against Wolves, I'd start him, but if we're talking about the season in general, he needs to find that consistency. Antony, on his day, can get goals, he can get assists. We know his work rate can never be questioned, but we do need consistency. There's always going to be people looking at Antony externally, and they were looking at him last year. It was his debut season, and still some people in the media wanted to go in on him because he hasn't got the British passport, etc. So they'll definitely be looking at him again. But even I really like Antony. I think he's a fantastic player, but we do need to see more this season. Obviously, some of it was injury, but there were some off performances last year, and we want to see that consistency. And then Marcus Rashford, I expect him to score a lot of goals this season. Scored a lot of goals last season, playing down the middle. It's not really his best position. I don't think he thinks it's his best position. But in the short term, while we don't have Højlund, I think that Rashford has to be the best option down the middle. And to be honest with you, I'd like to see Rashford off the left, but with Garnacho there and Rashford doing a job down the middle, I think we'll be absolutely fine. Looking at the game itself, yes, Wolves will sit in. Yes, they'll look to break. We have to play more on the front foot this season. This is where I talk about the season in general. Last season, I think we only scored... I did write it down, but I think last season we scored... I think it was 30-something goals, which was a lot worse than everybody else in the top four apart from Newcastle. Liverpool scored way more goals than us in fifth. So we've got to score more goals. We know that. And I don't see the reason in bringing someone in like Onana, someone in like Mason Mount, if we're not going to look to be more on the front foot. Yeah, we might concede a few more, but if you score a few more, I don't think it'll have a much bigger difference in relation to points. I really, really don't. So I want to see, I'll sacrifice the odd goal if it means we score a couple more. And what I mean by that is I look at last season, we were defensively well organised and we ground out a lot of results by one goal here and there. This season, I'd rather see a few more 3-1s, 4-2s than 1-0s, 2-1s. And I think that with an Onana in goal, that is surely what we're going to look to do. Many of you have said that the style of football last season wasn't great. I'm really intrigued to see if this season is the season where Ten Hag starts to change the style of play. Because I remember speaking to Ben Foster at the start of last season, and he said 18 months before you start to see anything like what Ten Hag wants to play, similar to Ajax, if that's the route he's going to go down. So this is the season to see that. Also, in relation to the general prediction for the season, I've put United in as third on my Premier League predictions on That's Football. I also predicted we'd win the Champions League. Now, I wanted to get into a little bit more depth in that with you, because I think that when I look at United this season, I'm looking at, it's very easy to say third or fourth or second, but Ollie finished second, Mourinho finished second, and I think last season's third was better than those seconds. So context, position's not great. I always think the points tally's the thing. So last season I said we've got to go over 70 points, because if we go over 70 points, that's 11 points more than we got the year before. That's a big swing. United should always be getting over 70 points, but to go from, 59 in the Ollie final year and the bit of Rangnick to go to 73, 14-point swing, that's really good from Ten Hag. So I looked at that last year and I was like, if we go over 70 points and we don't get top four, I'd still be happy with that because it's a big improvement. This year, obviously top four has to happen. I'm not even messing around with that. Top four has to happen. I don't think you could say that last year. Some people did. I thought that was a bit harsh. Top four has to happen this year. Has to happen. So I'm saying points tally, 80 points. Now, we haven't done that in a long time. And 80 points doesn't win you the league. It's not going to win you the league. But I think this season, if we can go 80 points, then that's the progression in the league I'm looking for. Guaranteed top four with 80 points, absolutely. Could even get you second or third again. But I think that's what we've got to go for this season. So why did I predict that United are going to win the Champions League? Well, look, it's very difficult as a United fan in the last decade to predict we're going to win anything that's, even anything. It's very hard to predict anything, even the Carabao Cup. But the reason I think that we could be good in the Champions League is because I just get the feeling with this season we should grow again as the season goes along. And we should get through the group stage. So when does the Champions League really kick in? February. That's when it's all about. So I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, by next February, all these new signings will have settled. The team that's already there from last year is stable. You might have a sale scenario, which means you hit the January transfer window a bit as well. That could be another thing. But also the main reason I've done it is that the Champions League will probably be Man City as favourites. And we can beat Man City. On our day, we can. So we can beat Bayern Munich, we can beat Real Madrid, we can beat Barcelona. I don't think it's laughable. I think Ten Hag has proven that he can beat anybody on his day. I think he's also proven that he's a cup manager, obviously taking us to 2 cup finals last year. And I think he's also proven with Ajax that he's a very good Champions League manager as well. I wouldn't put us as favourites to win the Champions League. It's just a hunch. I think we could win the Champions League, and we won't be favourites. And I'm not going to sit here and say we're definitely going to win it. It's more of a feeling. I think there's a lot of things that add up to why we could do well in the Champions League. Now, of course, if we end up in the same situation as we did last year, where we're still in the FA Cup, we're still in the Carabao Cup, we're still in the race for top four, and we're still in the Champions League, I think that will be a problem with the squad that we've got. But you know what Ten Hag's like, he'll try and win everything. And it would certainly be, I don't think it would be wrong to expect a trophy this season. I don't think we should necessarily demand it yet, although we should do as United fans. But he won us a trophy last year. I think we should be looking to win a trophy this year. And I don't think it, for anybody expects it to be the Premier League. I think that would be miraculous. But there's 3 tournaments to go and win. And I think that Ten Hag will be absolutely ecstatic to be back in the Champions League. And you know, we can't take it for granted. We've not been in it as much as we should have done over the last decade. And I'm excited to see what we can do. As for the Wolves predictions, get in the comments and tell us what you're predicting. Very difficult to predict with United. Worst case scenario, we lose this 1-0 or we draw 0-0. I mean, that would be the problem, not scoring goals. And that was a bit of a problem last year. But I think let's start as we mean to go on. I know it was pre-season, but in a lot of the games, we did start off well and probably should have been 2 or 3-0 up in a few of them. So I think an early goal is really important. An early goal blows the doors off Wolves' plans as well, because they'll be looking to sit in and frustrate on Monday night. I'm going to go with a 3-0 win for Manchester United, and I think that's it's a very optimistic prediction, but I think that's exactly what we need to do. And I look back on previous seasons. Remember when we beat Chelsea 4-0 and we didn't really deserve to do it? But these sort of games, Monday night as well, we'll have seen everybody else play. There'll be a load of excitement. Old Trafford will be buzzing. First game of the season. Start with a high intensity. Old Trafford's rocking. I can see us winning that game. Maybe even 4-0. But look, I'm going to go 3-0. And yeah, I think we've just got to be focused. And I saw somebody on Twitter say this, and they're absolutely correct. These are the games you've got to win. Forget first game of the season. It's 1 of 38. I don't care whether it's game 14, game 20, game 6. It's Wolves at home. These are the games you've got to win. Play the game, not the atmosphere. And look, it's the first game. Everyone's excited, but we've got to come out of this with 3 points. I don't want to be there at full time going, it's only the first game of the season. We've dropped a couple of points in a 0-0 draw. Go out there and win, because that's the efficiency we're going to need this season. And, you know, who knows what other teams are going to do? It could be the most competitive race for the top 6 positions we've ever known, with Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Manchester United, Man City, maybe Arsenal, maybe Aston Villa, maybe Brighton. So, yeah, let's wait and see. I'd love to see you get your top 4 predictions in, actually. I'd love to see where most of you are putting Man United. So get in the comments with that. Also, if you've got any thoughts on my predicted 11, would you make any changes? Let us know there. You don't need to write out your full 11. I know that takes ages, but you could just put something like, I like your 11, but I'd put Wan-Bissaka at right back and Sancho on the wing. That sort of comment's fine, because I like to read through all that. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as per usual. And don't forget that you too can play TUS Predictor. Scan the QR code next to me. Links in the video description as well. We've got a free to play game as well, where you can win 100 quid, or you can enter and win big cash prizes. Check it out. I've explained it at the start of the video. Remember, you've got to be over 18. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Terms and conditions are in the video description as well. And I'll speak to you 8 o'clock tonight if you're looking for that. Not tonight, because I'm on That's Football, but we'll be back with the morning show tomorrow as well. Join me on That's Football, 8 o'clock.